Hey, Phantomaniacs. This is an impromptu, not a live stream. I thought about doing it as a live stream, but honestly, there's a lot going on today. Today was the last day of Toylanta, but I didn't head down there because I've just got too much to do. I've got prep for Stellar Fest next weekend. If you need an update on that, the easiest thing to do is follow Phantom Troublemaker on Instagram. But on Saturday at noon, I will be hosting a Doctor Who panel. Sunday at 10 a.m., the first ever morning coffee edition of the Big Damn Game Show. I have no idea how that's going to go, but we're going to have fun, but it's going to be wild seeing what happens with that. 2 p.m. on Sunday, Panel of Adventure, where we have chosen, this is a Star Wars edition of Panel of Adventure. We have chosen a choose your own Star Wars adventure book, and we will be letting the audience decide our fate as we move through this book. We've done it at Dragon Con. I will be doing one at FrankenCon as well in May. Only that will be Choose Your Own Nightmare. And then 3 p.m. on Sunday, last thing I've got on my schedule, I will be hosting a panel about Star Trek toys. If you've been around Needless Things for any amount of time, you may remember we used to do a panel called Toy Stories at Dragon Con. Well, let's see, we did it at Dragon Con. We did it at Days of the Dead. Where else have we done it? We've done it a couple of places or a few places. So it's more focused on your personal reminiscences about the franchise and its relation to toys. But we will absolutely be sort of going through the different eras of Star Trek toys and why the heck they can't just make the whole cast of Wrath of Khan like ever. It's your biggest thing ever. So anyway, what I'm here to talk about today is before I get to doing a bunch of reviews. I've got this is not from Toylanta, but this just came in from Big Bad Toy Store the other day. This Red Sonja from Boss Fight. Pretty stoked about that one. Also from Big Bad, new CM Punk, Usos, and finally, Ron Simmons with the WCW championship that is more accurate to him actually winning the championship. And then I mentioned it on our toy conventions episode, the Nemesis Build-A-Figure, which is fantastic. One of the best Marvel Legends Build-A-Figures, I think. That's now complete. I don't think it was complete the other night when we recorded, but it is now. So this is something a little different today. I want to talk about Toylanta a little bit and how much fun we had down there, and then I'm going to run through the stuff that I got and what I'm going to be doing reviews of and what I'm not going to be doing reviews of. So went down there Friday evening. It started at 5 p.m. on Friday. I was doing prep for Stellar Fest and just other stuff. It's funny. So I've got my full time day job that I thought about this the other day, right? So the 40-hour work week, that's a thing, right? That's everybody's got a 40-hour work week. Only if you're only working 40 hours a week, you're just not working hard enough, right? That's the mentality that we've been brought up with. Whereas my counter thought to that is if you cannot get your job done in 40 hours, then you're not doing it right. But it depends, obviously. If you have a job like I used to have, where it's more about like you are working for the 12 hours in my case that you're there, it's not about your productivity, it's just about your attentiveness to the job that you're supposed to be doing. That's one thing. But if you have some sort of administrative or management or whatever type role, you should be able to manage your time wisely enough to get everything done in 40 hours. That was the plan. But none of us work 40 hours because everybody has to take lunch, right? You have to take a half hour to an hour lunch break, so your work day is actually moving up to 8.5 or 9 hours a day. So really, we're working 9 hours a day, 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's 45 hours a week. So you really have a 45-hour work week because you're not going to convince me that half hour to an hour of lunch is really time off. Like, would you be sitting there in the middle of your workday if you had a choice about it? No, you would not. You'd be leaving an hour earlier, half hour earlier. Uh, so really you're looking at a 45-hour work week. Only it's not 45 hours unless you work from home, because you're probably driving into work. And that drive could be anywhere from 10, 15 minutes to an hour, hour and a half. And I'll tell you right now, most people I talk to when they talk about their drive home in the afternoon are talking to between 45 minutes and an hour and a half. So we're talking around, let's say, an hour and a half of drive time every day, right? Every day. So that adds hour and a half times 5. That's 7.5 hours added to your work week. So now we're looking at 52 and a half hours in your work week. You actually have a 52 and a half hour work week. And you think, oh, well, that's just how it is. That's how hard people should work. That's how we should be and do things and work for the man and make sure we get our, they're cranking every drop of sweat they can out of us for that meager paycheck that we receive. So try this as a little mental exercise. Whether you're salaried or hourly, uh, it's based on 40 hours, because even in the job where I had built-in overtime, my pay was based off of a 40-hour work week. So take that 40 hours, however much you make in that amount of time, but don't divide it by 40, divide it by 52 and a half, or do the math and figure out how much time you're actually devoting to your job, because it's not 40 hours. So sit down, do the math, and then find out how much you're actually making an hour and see how you feel about that. My point before I went off on that rant that has nothing to do with, well, it has a little bit to do with Toylanta, because we had Brett, who is the man behind Toylanta. We had Brett on talking about how much work it takes to put together a convention like that. So Toylanta itself is another full-time job for Brett. And for me, I've got that day job that I have that is, I would say the 52 hours a week is probably appropriate for what I'm actually, from what my job actually demands of me versus time clock time. I'm salaried, but it's still based on that 40-hour work week. So I've got my day job. And then I've got Needless Things, which is these videos, the reviews that I do, editing those reviews, putting the podcast together, recording an introduction for the podcast, all of that stuff. And I'm not going to say I put 40 hours a week into that. Uh, but as far as actual work, for sure, 20 hours a week, and thinking about that stuff 24/7. But then con season comes around, and that adds another part-time job to what I'm doing. So planning for Stellarfest, which I only had a month to do because they didn't let us know until a month beforehand. They didn't let any of the panelists know until a month beforehand that they were actually going to be doing things there. And in my opinion, if you're planning to entertain people, you need more than a month to prepare for it, unless you have absolutely nothing else going on in your life. If all you do is panels for conventions, then a month should be plenty of time to prepare your content. But if you have other jobs, a month is really not enough time. But we've made it happen. We're going to have fun. But that adds another part-time job to things. And then there's Audible Interlude, which requires it's not, yes, it's part of Needless Things, but it is also very much its own thing, because that is the regularly scheduled programming that I have to plan the live streams. I have to plan the audio episodes, which we'll be recording later tonight, which suddenly had to move because we had a scheduling conflict. So now we're doing it tonight instead of tomorrow night. And then I have to plan the interviews that I've been doing, which, by the way, at Toylanta, I set up several interviews that'll be happening in the coming months. So scheduling for those interviews, I've talked about it before, back and forth, schedule set, write up the email, make the notes for the show, get everything set. It's all time. It's time, 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 time. And you got to love doing it, because it will take every second of your time during the day. And then you have to worry about, on top of that, your day job. And then you have to not worry about, but make sure you're focusing enough time on your family, which, I'll tell you right now, over the years, I probably haven't. But in order to stay sane, You've got to, when you have that day job, that I think most people are probably in this situation, that is such a suck on your bandwidth that just absolutely kills your soul. Uh, that bleeds over. You need more fulfillment from other areas. And a lot of that fulfillment comes from hanging out with your family. A lot of that fulfillment comes from taking the things that you actually enjoy and are good at. Not to say I'm not good at my day job. I'm so good at my day job. I ended up training other people to do it. But and which, by the way, that whole "those who can't teach" is horseshit. That's one of the worst uh, aphorisms ever, and very disrespectful to teachers. I've been thinking about teachers a lot lately and how abused they are and how we don't deserve them. Anyway, don't get me off on another rant about how brainwashed we've been by hundreds of years of civilization. Uh, anyway, my point is I've got a lot to do today, and just scheduling a live stream for this, which I would have loved to do because I'd love to be talking to people in the chat right now, uh, just wasn't practical. Plus, I've got to get these reviews done. A live stream would have had to been later, and I want to show you guys this stuff before. I need a proper sequence of events. So anyway, that's what's happening here. So Toylanta got down there it ended up going into the show at about 6, and just kept running into people. It was such a pleasure to talk to Bill Murphy from Fresh Monkey Fiction, talk to Grindstone Toys, met Spiro Toys for the first time, who and I'm not dropping some names here because we'll get to that later on. You may have watched. I had the good fortune of live streaming the panel with Manor Monster, Sparrow Toys, Grindhouse Toys, and Fresh Monkey Fiction, which was a lot of fun. Although the room that it was in was very, very small, packed to the gills, and it was probably about 90 degrees in there, and it killed me for the rest of the day. Like we went to that panel, walked around the big room one more time, and I was like, I gotta go. I'm beat because I was just pouring sweat through that whole panel. It was ridiculously hot in that room, but the panel was really fun, and I might be the only person who streamed it or who recorded it. Uh, so that's kind of cool. There were other people in that room taking pictures and stuff. So if you want pictures, there are other places to get them. But if you want to see the panel, which is a lot of fun and interesting, but I'll be talking to, I believe, all of those people in the coming months here on Needless Things. But Friday just caught up with a lot of people. Walked around, made a couple of purchases on Friday, but didn't have enough time. 2 hours is not enough time to look over that whole convention center, and I cannot give enough credit to the Toylanta team for their planning. The big room was only Saturday for the first few hours after they opened did it get to the point where it was difficult to move around. For the most part, everything was laid out very, very well. Uh, the the variety of vendors was excellent. No booths full of Funko Pops. That was a big, huge, like, wow, no waste of space here. Lots of variety. It felt like everybody had different stuff. It was because you often go to toy conventions or any other kind of conventions that'll have toys, and there's like 5 booths that are Marvel Legends you could go to Target and buy right now. You're like, oh, hi, scalper. Uh, 2 or 3 booths of Funko Pops, 2 or 3 that look like they just cleared their attic out and dumped it on the table. But this was all quality stuff, very curated. It felt very curated. That a lot of attention was paid to who was there and what they were going to have, and I appreciated that very much. So they had downstairs in the main room. Some of the celebrities were in there, which I didn't do a lot of celebrity, or I didn't do any celebrity stuff really this time. And then upstairs, they had several of the meeting rooms also full of toys, and then some of the artist guests and cosplayers and stuff like that were upstairs. It was a really good spread. It was, I don't know, it was huge, but also all very compact and accessible, if that makes sense. Like you felt like you could get to everything very easily. It didn't feel like there was any wandering, like, hey, is there another room down here? It was clear what the layout was. So got out of there about 8 o'clock Friday, headed back home, got a few things done. And then Saturday, got up first thing in the morning, and me and my son headed down there, and just had a great time running into people, talking to folks that know me from Audible Interlude, folks that know me from Needless Things. Met up with my pal Mr. Bo Brown, hung out with him for a little while. Uh, just a very pleasant day. But what I found is I'm in a space right now where I'm not buying stuff just because, oh, this is cool, I'd like to have it. Like, I really was more focused on, and that's not to say I didn't get anything that fits that definition, but I was very conservative the whole time I was there. A couple of times I basically talked myself out of buying things, specifically at Destro's Toy Den. They had the Cobra Bunker, which I need, a Tiger Paw, which I would like to have, but I can't say I need. And then a couple of figures. And what I like to do, this is kind of my method, and I realized this um, Saturday. I like to go to the booth, and if there's one thing I want, I'm like, okay, I know I want this. Let me find sort of a pile or a bundle, and then I can take it to the person and say, hey, can you sell me this for this? Uh, because for me, it's harder with one item to say, can you just give me this? Like, I don't know. It's easier to have a pile of items. So, yeah, it was Destro's Toy Den, and then by the time I found sort of the fourth item that made me feel good about a price that I would offer, for what I had, I was like, you know what, I really don't need any of it, and I put it all back, and I did that several times, and I think it's just an awareness, or being very conscious of what's going on with the economy right now. I'll say it, I'm paranoid. I mean, if you've been listening to the shows, but I had a very interesting conversation with the creative director from Sparrow Toys. Um, that's Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. Yes, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. We'll be looking at that again in a moment, about tariffs, realistically how they could affect things. Because of course I have purely a consumer perspective. I don't have a manufacturer or production perspective on that, and I'm very excited about having him on the show to talk about what he sees, because this is a person who makes a thing and who is being even more directly impacted by the potential of tariffs than we as consumers are. So I mean, we're not just going to talk about that. I want to have him on the show to talk about, obviously, this toy line that has tempted me at every single convention I've ever gone to in the past. They've been around for a few years now. I feel like at least 4 or 5 years they've had a presence at conventions. Uh, I don't know that I remember them pre-pandemic, but for sure 2021 and on, I think they've had product out there. So we'll go ahead and talk about that. It's not the first thing that I bought, but I just I could no longer resist. Let me get this out of here. There we go. Okay. I could no longer resist the charms of Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. So I got myself a Lexion. This is not actually, that's not the trigger item. The item that I saw that I was like, oh, it's time now. I have to dive into this is this accessory set, which I know I complain about accessories all the time, right? Uh, I don't need more stuff just to throw in a drawer. And particularly these are like, I don't have a big collection of uh, barbarian type stuff, I guess, for lack of a better term, fantasy oriented stuff. So these are even less useful to me, but they are glow in the dark. And every time I walk by, I was like, oh, look at those. But I don't have anything to go with those. So my solution to that was I will buy a thing to go with those, and this is Lexion, the what is he, a jackal or a hyena? What do we got here? Lexion, a ruthless mercenary who betrayed his people and countless others in the hunt for profit and glory. Oh, I like that. That's cool. So there was a different, darker version of this character there, which was actually the one that I wanted. Um, but that one sold out. He wasn't going to have more until today, and I knew there wasn't much chance I was going to be able to get back down there today because I just had too much to do. Um, so I went ahead and grabbed this one, which is also very cool looking because I want to review it. I've been wanting to buy and review some of these figures for years and just haven't done it because I'm like, oh, I cannot get into a new thing. But at the very, at the very least, this can be like one of Dr. Mindbender's experiments or something. I don't know. So Animal Warriors of the Kingdom review coming soon right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. What else have we got? So had a great conversation there. Also, one of my big planned stops was Toy Department. They're at Toylanta, Joe Fest. Like they are also at all the toy conventions pretty much, and they're cash only. So I want to go there first and make sure that's where my cash goes. So I made a point of finding Toy Department. This was Friday, and had a great conversation with one of the guys working there. And ended up talking about wrestling figures mostly, which, as you saw, I've just opened these new WWE ones up with no, I'm not doing reviews because wrestling figure reviews just don't do well for me, but I still love wrestling figures. But the reason Toy Department, I know them for, like, I am well aware that their retail store carries everything. But because I know them from Joe Fest Toylanta, mostly, I know them for having tons of GI Joe stuff because that's what they bring to those. So cash for Joe's, reasonable prices, like that's in my mind Toy Department. At Toylanta, they had zero GI Joe, which I was disappointed in because that really is my focus now. There are a few other vintage things I'm looking for, but really rebuilding that Joe, well, not even rebuilding because now I'm to the point where I'm getting a lot of stuff from outside of my 82 to 87 range. But Joe is still my focus, and it's vehicles. Vehicles are what I need to get caught up on because there are a lot out there that are just a little more than I want to pay. But if you do it one piece at a time, like the Man in Black said. So that's what I've been trying to do. So I get to Toy Department. They have no Joe. However, what they do have, and I'm a big fan of right now, are Zombie Sailors Heels and Faces figures. And one of the regrets that I've got of recent toy history is that I didn't pre-order the Yoshihiro Tajiri figure. I love Tajiri, and I just didn't pre-order this because I think there were a lot of pre-orders at the time. There was just tons of different stuff uh, that I was getting. I don't know, for one reason or another, I didn't do the pre-order, and they shipped recently, and I saw final production pictures, and I'm just like, man, that's the Tajiri I would want to own. Like, sure, if Mattel does one, then yeah, I'll get it. But proportionally, the look of it, everything about it, this is the Tajiri I wanted, and it was retail price. So even if I had pre-ordered from Zombie Sailor, it would have cost more than this because I would have had to pay shipping. So I saw this Tajiri, and I'm like, man, I got to do it. I can no longer be sad that I didn't get Tajiri. I would have gotten the Abdullah the Butcher as well, but I just ordered the new large scale Abdullah that went up for pre-order from Zombie Sailor the other night. I ordered Abdullah, King Kong Bundy, and Jeff Jarrett. I had to. I had to. So let's go ahead and open Tajiri up because he's not going to get his own review. Thick, as I've always said, nice thick card back on these. They're very easy to preserve, especially if you put them in a protector. The bubble is glued on like crazy. It's actually not wanting to. Ooh, I'm not sure if I can even. I can't even get this thing open. The bubble is on so securely. Let's see here. I can't get through that cardboard. This is hilarious. There we go. All right. So Yoshihiro Tajiri, interesting that he does not have some of the Heels and Faces figures have swivel wrists just because of the way they're produced. He does not. Does have a swivel. Oh, he's got swivel feet though. Interesting. That'll make him a little easier to deal with as far as standing, because sometimes when those feet are fixed, it's hard to deal with. I'm not going to get into too. I'll put some pictures up probably, but I'm not going to, because if I mess with the camera too much right now. But look at that hunched over. They'll probably do a green. He'll probably do a green mist variant, I would imagine. But just the detail on the pants. Got the Japanese flag on there. The belt. The belt is actually, if you can see, a separate little piece right there. I mean, this is a fantastic figure. And what a great character. I mean, Tajiri, I think, is very underappreciated for his character work. He was a hard hitting, believable guy in the ring, but his character work was excellent. So, anyway, Heels and Faces Tajiri. So, I went upstairs because Noel was up there with the finest, and I showed him my Tajiri, and he's like, "Oh, that's really nice." And he looks at the back of the card, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, they did a Big Bully Busick," and I was like, "Oh no, that's another one that I would have liked to have." Not because I'm like a big, huge Big Bully Busick fan or anything like that, but just because it's such a unique, interesting looking figure. Like he basically looks like the Bulldog from Tom and Jerry. Or no, I guess Looney Tunes. Anyway, went back hoping, because he was a New York Comic Con exclusive, and he has not been on sale yet on the website. So I was like, you know what? Let me go back down there and see if maybe they had one. And I just didn't notice it because I wasn't thinking about it. And sure enough, Big Bully Busick, I think maybe had like 7 televised matches. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Do not let the derby hat, cigar, and handlebar mustache fool you. The bully is one brutal powerhouse that enjoys beating the daylights out of others, a formidable brawler who's always looking to pick a fight wherever he goes. Only smokes Parejo-shaped stogies, perfect for popping children's balloons. What a terrible human being. So we've got, his hat comes off. I didn't realize that. Okay, let's hope it stays on. Big Bully Busick with his stogie, which is hilarious. Permanently affixed in the mouth. I think that's appropriate for a Hasbro style figure. I think that's how it would be. He's got to paint it on, which is fine. I have no problem with that in this format of figures. Got the waist twist, and then his little bowler hat, which I believe goes on that way. Oh yeah, it's so the hat is a PVC, and it goes on and stays on pretty well. So there you go. Big Bully Busick. Really just wanted him because he's such a unique, interesting looking. I mean, he's a little brute with a cigar. Like he's fun on the shelf. Yeah, maybe the price was a little high for something that's a novelty, for lack of a better term. But also, you gotta. This is one that I was like, okay, this is just fun, and I'm gonna buy it. So there he is, Big Bully Busick. What a pair. Big Bully Busick and Yoshihiro Tajiri. Whoever thought that lineup would happen anywhere. All right, what else has been going on? So yeah, I talked to the toy department. Gentleman up there, had a great conversation with him. But my first stop at Toylanta actually ended up being, because Friday when I got there, I just wanted to have a beverage. I'd had a long day. I've been working on stuff all day, and I wanted to relax. So the convention center itself at the time did not have adult beverages available, but it is connected to a Westin, and I knew the Westin would have a bar in the lobby. So I went over, got myself a beverage, mixed up very nicely. I was very pleased with that beverage. And then I came back on the second floor because both the lobby and the upper floor were both connected to the convention center. So I came in that way, and who do I see at his table but Pixel Dan? Nobody's over there yet. It's still really early. A lot of people had not made their way upstairs. So Pixel Dan's just standing there at his table, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to talk to Pixel Dan because he's been at least one other convention I've been at, but was just busy the whole time. So we had a fun conversation about loving toys, basically. And this was one of my goals. And I wish I'd brought my Masters Universe book back for him to sign. But I just, there was so much other stuff going on in my head. I didn't think about it. But I grabbed the Major Bendy's Pixel Dan figure. This is something I've been wanting for a while because Pixel Dan, a lot of people don't know this, is also a wrestler, a completely different identity. He doesn't really talk about it in his toy reviews or his channel or anything at all. It's like a complete other part of his life. But the fact that he's part of the Major Bendy's line, I just think is really cool. So I got him to sign the Major Bendy's figure, and it just could not have been any nicer. Such a sweet guy, and his that positivity that he has in his videos, and that sort of thirst for knowledge just comes through meeting him in person. So while I'm talking to Pixel Dan about his figure, which he's got probably 20 of them like pegged out on his table, uh this guy walks up and says, that's my design. And we both kind of look at him, and in my head I'm thinking, oh, it's a little early to be dealing with the crazy person. But then this gentleman goes on to say, yeah, I designed the first waves of the WWF Bendums for Just Toys. And we realize this isn't some random person that walked up. He's at the table beside Pixel Dan, and it's Guy Dorian, who was the designer on not just the WWF Bendums, but other toy lines as well. And I'm not going to get too deep into his story right here, uh, because he will be coming on the show, and I'm very excited about it. I told him, I was like, I love talking to people who have a great story, and it sounds to me like you've got 10 great stories. Uh, just really fun talking to him, and we stood there and chatted for a minute about the toy business and how he got involved, and all of that will be coming soon to the Needless Things podcast. Uh, that was, if you're open and you go to these things and you talk to people, you have experiences like that where you're like, oh my gosh, this so surpassed. Like I didn't see this coming at all. I had no idea I would end up having this conversation about this thing. What else we got here? I've got my bag of goodies. Oh, here we go. So my number one goal for Toylanta was, and I don't think this will surprise anybody, the Fresh Monkey Fiction convention exclusive Operation Monster Force, Lieutenant Griffin the Eraser, the optically compromised version. So this is a translucent purple, which I love. I will be reviewing this, so I'm not going to take it out of the bag right now. This gets its own review that'll be coming very, very soon on the Needless Things YouTube channel. But again, it was great talking to Bill. He happy to see me. I was pleased that, because you talk to people and they talk to, I'm sure Bill Murphy's probably talked to even more people than I have in the last few years. And the fact that he remembered me and was happy to see me was very nice. It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's very validating when you feel like you had a great conversation with somebody and then you find out later that they also felt that way. So Bill will be coming back on the show soon. We're going to talk about Big Bad Workshop and other Fresh Monkey Fiction stuff. I've just got to get that set up and scheduled. But yeah, this Lieutenant Griffin review, which by the way, this art on this card is really cool. That is coming soon. What else have we got over here? I think everything else is kind of a, oh no, I've got one more kind of special item, and then everything else is just pickups. And there's not a whole heck of a lot left because, like I said, I was very conservative at this Toylanta. I just, my focus is messed up here. There we go. I don't know if that's any better. Whatever. Very conservative. Just didn't go crazy with anything. But there also weren't any high dollar items that I particularly felt tempted by. So ran into if you know him from, if you do the Audible Interlude live streams, White Vegeta or White Mike, I think, on Instagram. But he was walking around, had this really cool shipping container that he'd made. I would guess probably about 1/18th scale shipping container. And that's what caught my eye, because so many people that we engage with online, we maybe haven't necessarily seen their faces. My focus is all jacked up here. I don't know if there's anything I can do about it. Anyway, we don't always see their faces. So meeting him in person is really cool. But the shipping container he was carrying caught my eye first. I was like, wow, that looks cool. And then he stops and he's like, oh, hey, what's up? And he, knows me from seeing me like this. And he gives me this cool little custom crate with some like actual rope handles on it. I don't know exactly what it's made of, but it's very light, but look, you can see the wood grain. It's nice olive drab. Like, this is a fantastic prop. Opens up, and then he also hands me, oh, and this is the inside of the lid is designed to fit right in there, so it works great. Then he hands me this little piece, which is brilliant. It's a piece of foam. It fits into Classified Destro's briefcase, but it has three levels, three little, level things in it, but they look like vials of whatever. What, as he said, whatever you want them to be. So this was awesome. And again, just one of those cool, like, chance encounters I didn't necessarily expect. Oh, speaking of chance, ran into Chance and Kelly from Second Chance Toys and Collectibles right here in Georgia. Had a nice conversation with separate conversations with both of them. Always try and find Kelly at any convention I go to, and talking to Chance is always a pleasure because that guy, just his knowledge is tremendous. So got that. Finally got a complete snake. It's been on my must-have list for a while, and I just haven't found one that the price was right and it looked as good as I wanted it to look. And this one, I mean, this is like minty, looks fantastic. All the decals on it look great. This was very well taken care of. It has all of the parts. You can see it's got the claw, the missile, the flamethrower, and I guess this would be a laser blaster, and then it's got the little armature piece or whatever you call it on the inside. I didn't open it up at the show. Oh, that pops right out of there. I don't know if I realized that. So when I was a kid, I don't know if I even kept this piece because I don't think I understood what it was supposed to be. Interesting that there's no date, because this is so pristine. It kind of made me wonder, like, oh wait, is this maybe one of the ones they released later? I'm gonna try and very carefully take this apart, because I certainly have had the experience of breaking a thing once I get it home. Oh, there it is. 1984, 1980. I can't read the date, but it's 1980 something. So this is an original one that just happens to be in fantastic condition. And I did a little wheeling and dealing. I'm very proud of myself. So I did not pay the sticker price for it. And I do think the gentleman that sold it to me maybe not thrilled that he was giving me that deal, but if you don't ask, you don't know. And I asked, and finally got my snake. There's an alternate look for you. What do you think of that? He looks kind of like a regular show character, like that. All right, let's put this aside. And I've got other snake armors that were released later, like past '97 or whatever. But I didn't have any originals. I'd love to have a blue one. Probably not going to happen. Let's see. And then along with that snake armor, this was my okay. Can I get these two for this much? I got a character that I wasn't necessarily interested in initially, like when I started going outside of my 82 to 87, but huh. Now I'm wondering if I made a little mistake here because this helmet doesn't seem to fit on him. So I got Charbroil. And what really tempted me, well, I like his weird look, but also he's got that lenticular sticker on the back of his backpack. Got this giant supply hose. But now I'm wondering, is this helmet even the right thing? Because it doesn't seem to want to fit on his head. Oh, wait, there we go. Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's right. He's got a kind of a big nose going on. Let me do a little, I'm going to do a quick 3D Joe's search and make sure. But I mean, that's his helmet, no doubt. But this is one that came out definitely past his head. I mean, is that really the best it fits? He was definitely past my time. Never had him when I was a kid and just didn't have much awareness of him. And he's one that I don't believe got reissues later on. He might have had like a 2002 version come out. Let's see here. What year is he? I'm going to say he's 88. I don't think he's that far past my time. Look at that. 1988 Charbroil. Yeah, that is absolutely it. And his helmet just doesn't really fit any better than that. Interesting. So well, anyway, I'm not going to sit here and put him together, but he's in great shape. No paint loss, nice and tight, doesn't need a new O-ring or anything. And he look, I mean, he's pretty cool looking. I was never a fan of the brown figures, but that's a cool looking figure. I like it. And then finally, last couple of things I got, because we're going to wrap this thing up, from Fantastic Toys. Got an Annihilator. We've talked about them on the show a lot with their helicopter backpacks. Definitely factored into some of the Deke episodes that we've done. It's just one I've been wanting. The colors are great. They're never that expensive. Excuse me. And you know what I didn't realize until just now is that helicopter blade goes up and down. That's great. So I think, oh, that goes that way. That goes that way, I guess. Now he is going to need a new O-ring, but paint looks good. Got his little control handle there. Got this, which we've seen. I feel like I saw this a lot in the line at some point. Slide that right into his hand. And look at that. I finally have an Annihilator with a helicopter backpack. I don't know if I'm even going to put him on a stand. He might be getting the fishing line treatment. I might hang him up. He is great. Paint looks good. This figure is in great condition. Thrilled to have it. And finally, another one that's been on the list for a long time, but just hadn't been picked up. And that is Spearhead and his animal companion, Max the Bobcat, featured in an issue I read just a couple of months ago. and just had a lot of fun with the issue. So he's been on the list since before that, but then actually getting some characterization for him, I was like, oh, I really need to pick these guys up, because any of the animal companion characters, I'll go ahead and say are pretty high on my list. I almost bought a version 2 eel, and it was another time where I talked actually, it was from Fantastic Toys. I had a pile of stuff that I was like ready to go with, and it was at the end of the day, and that was when the tired just hit me, from standing in that panel in that hot room. It just hit, and I was like, ugh, I'm done. I got to get out of here. I got to wrap this thing up. So I had, what did I have? I had a couple of figures, and I was just like, nah, don't need them today. Got to head home. Got to get some food. I was hungry because we had, there's that. Whoop, wrong way. There we go. I was super hungry because for lunch we had a convention center pizza, and it only barely qualified as a pizza. It was basically a quesadilla with, oh, well, that can just stay there or not. There we go. It was basically a quesadilla with pizza stuff on it. It had 6 pieces of, it was a 10-inch pizza with 6 pieces of pepperoni on it. It was ridiculous. And we split that, and it did absolutely nothing for my hunger. So then by 5-ish, when we left, I was just done. I was done. I needed to get food in me. I needed to have a little rest. It had been a long day, but it had been a great day. I feel like I want this to go a little. I usually like to try and hit an hour for anything like this, like a podcast episode. But that's really it. Toylanta was a fantastic time, very well organized, nothing but positive things to say about the whole experience. Uh, the guests that I interacted with were all great. The seeing the toy companies again, I cannot overemphasize this enough, or cannot emphasize this enough. I cannot overemphasize this at all. Um, Having the opportunity to meet and speak with the people who make toys is amazing. We need to all be taking as much advantage of it as we can while we can, because if you're at all interested in the process of making toys, if you're at all interested in having input, every time I've talked to Bill Murphy, I've said, hey, hack slash Operation Monster Force, let's go. Oh, that was another cool thing about the indie toy panel, is Bill announced, so they've got their long box heroes, which are the superpowers style figures, but now they're doing 1/12 scale fully articulated long box heroes. They're kicking things off with the Tick, who is currently available to pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store. So while, yes, I want Cassie and Vlad from Hack Slash in Operation Monster Force, I think there's the opportunity to do pure comic book versions in long box heroes, and then like grittier, more detailed versions, like basically Marvel Legends versions for long box heroes and GI Joe classified versions for Operation Monster Force. I think both of those would be worthy entries, but that's, what do I know about toys? That's all I got. Toylanta was fantastic. Joe Lanta is at the end of September this year, in the same place, the Gas South Convention Center in Duluth, Georgia. I highly I mean, if you're a Joe fan, I highly recommend it. If you know a Joe fan, go with them and look at the other stuff that's there, because it'll be tons and tons and tons of GI Joe, but there will be other stuff there as well. My personal schedule: Stellarfest next weekend, April 4th through the 6th, I believe. I gave you my rundown at the beginning of the show. I'll be at FrankenCon in May 9th and 10th. I will be screening my documentary film Troublemaker, as well as hosting a couple of panels there. June the 5th is the next Conversations About Love and Kindness, where we talk about how to support each other and make sure we're there for the community, and make sure the community knows that we're there for them. Conversations about love and kindness. Follow Phantom Troublemaker on Instagram for more about that. Follow Red Light Cafe on Facebook. The event should be up sometime in the next month or so. Currently accepting act submissions. And then Joe Fest at the end of June. We will be there with a table, but we are not doing any. Well, I have asked about screening Troublemaker there. I need to follow up. Ed was at Toylanta. I should have given him a copy. But we do have DVD copies of Troublemaker now. And then between June and Dragon Con, I don't know that I've got anything else. And it's honestly because Dragon Con is going to demand all of that prep time from me. We've already got our kind of what we're doing laid out now, but the work needs to be done. We need to get on it. So that's it for today. Toylanta, fantastic. Check out Joelanta, Toylanta next year. Planning is already underway, and this year's is not even over yet as I record this. Really, just as much as I always mean it, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, tell people about Needless Things, spread the word. And until next time, buy what you like.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.